Okay, on to DockDoor now, and I wanted to bring the application to your attention because it's completely free, it's completely open source, and it does an awful lot for that, as we're going to see. It's available at DockDoor.net, and I don't want it to be confused with DockDoor Pro. That is an application that's in beta at the moment, and what DockDoor Pro does is completely replace the macOS dock. And I'm certainly looking forward to testing this out when it comes out of beta. It looks like there's a lot of good features there. But no, for the rest of this video, we're going to be looking at DockDoor and what it can do for you. So I'm going to run it for the first time on this particular account. Now on my other screen, there is a little permission pop-up that's appeared. Let me just drag it over. Because for DockDoor to be able to present window previews to you, it is going to need to capture the screen to be able to do that. I'm just going to click Allow here, and then I'll click Get Started. Now, DockDoor is going to need accessibility and screen recording permissions in order to be able to do what it needs to do. It's already been granted on the master user account that I use on this machine, so I'm just going to pause and make sure that I can access DockDoor from my menu bar. Right, DockDoor is in, it's running, and I haven't configured it at all yet, but this is at the outset what it can do. If I hover over an open application in the dock, we can see a preview of the windows that are currently open. The eye that you can see there just shows that window is currently hidden, and then you can come up and hover over a specific window and click to be taken directly there, rather than just opening the last active window within the application. That on its own is really nice. But of course, you're going to want to do more, and you can. If I just come up into this preview window to the top left, we can see we've got some traffic light buttons. Now these are the default ones, and we can add more, as we'll see later. On the far left, this will actually quit the application and close all of the windows. The red one will close this specific window. Then yellow will minimize, and green will take us full screen. So if I minimize this, we can see it now says minimized in the top left-hand corner, and we've got an eye with a strike through as a visual aid as well. Another quick option I've got for closing the window is with a mouse that has a middle click button. If I just click that, then the window is closed. Now, if you're anything like me, you may find yourself on occasion having slightly more windows than is healthy. You can see here in Safari, I actually need to scroll across to the right to be able to see them all. Now, one way of being able to change this behavior in DockDoor is to come up into the menu bar icon, open settings, and just before we move any further at all, I do want to point out this top option here that allows you to support the application. As said, this is completely open source and free. If you find that you get some real value from it, then supporting them, of course, helps. Anyhow, if I come over here into Appearance, you'll see that you can adjust the preview width here. It automatically reduces the height as well, and that's because we've got an aspect ratio that's locked here. You could change that, of course, but I'm going to keep it. I'm not going to be covering all of the settings here within the app. I just need to say that. There are far, far too many. All I want to do is cover off some that I tend to play with every now and then. Now down here, you can see that those previews, for Safari at least, are definitely more manageable. There are lots of other appearance options you can use to be able to change how they appear. That there is just one, and we're going to see a few more later as we work our way through the app. Now, DockDoor has a lot of features and even more configuration, and Dock Previews is just one. Let's take a look at some of the key settings you may want to look at. And of course, you need to make sure it's enabled at the top here, first of all. Then down here, if you use multiple spaces or multiple monitors, you can restrict which previews appear, dependent on where the current window is. Down here, I think it's important to include hidden and minimized windows, but if you don't like that, you can turn it off. And then down here, we've got an option to ignore apps that just have one window open if you tend to find that they can be distracting as you're moving along. I do have a Claude window open on my other screen, but there's no preview appearing here, whereas there is, of course, for Pages. I do tend to leave this unchecked. Now, if I just come a bit further down, the default behavior when you just hover over a preview is for nothing to happen. You can change this though. You can actually have it simulating a click. And down here, this slider will determine how long the cursor has to be hovering over the preview for an action to be taken. And if you find you get RSI in your finger by clicking more often than you should, You can just hover over a window instead, and you don't need to click the button for it to open. Pretty useful. The other option that we have here is to present a full-size preview of the window. Now, if I just do that down here, you can see this is actually an image file that's being blown up and shown here. I can tell that by the resolution of the image, but there are times when this action could be useful as well. A little bit further down here, and you can change what elements appear within the preview. So do you want the app header to be shown or not? I like to keep this on. You can change the style as well. You can have a shadowed effect, or you can have a popover one. I'm just going to keep it at the default. Then you can also choose where you want the traffic light controls and the title. Perhaps you prefer them to appear at the bottom, or maybe have them a little bit more centralized. There are loads of options here for you to suit whatever you need. You can also choose which traffic light buttons are going to appear. So the default of quit, close, minimize, and full screen are checked at the bottom, but you can add maximize and new window as well. And you can see those two new ones appearing at the far right there. I don't tend to use the new window one, but the maximize one I do get a lot of use out of. And then at the bottom here, another way of being able to deal with having too many previews on the screen. If your dock is on the bottom, just adjust the maximum number of rows that you can have. You can see that they appear in a much better format. And then below that, if you have your column on the left or right, you don't need rows. You need to adjust, of course, the number of columns. Into the appearance section now, and any changes that you're making here are going to affect not just the dock previews, but the other features that we're yet to cover, such as the window switcher. Now we've seen you can adjust the preview window size at the top, but if you don't want some windows being a fixed width, you can have dynamic image sizing, and that's going to scale the previews in line with the actual window size. Coming further down, I like the default settings for the background, but you may want to change these. So if we change it to clear, well, that really doesn't work for me. I don't see enough of the preview there. You can change it to a frosted style here. And this gives us another drop down for material where you can select any of these options. And down here, this is how that effect looks. And then if you enable liquid glass, well, the developers have worked hard to be able to allow you to tweak the liquid glass settings exactly how you like. Very welcome. And I'd love to see this in other applications as well. Now, we don't really need to look at the options in this section here, but I am going to quickly check the box here for always use compact mode. Now, this, of course, is going to give you a much smaller preview. The default we have here for item size is medium. And if I come down to pages here, you can see how that looks. And we can see that as the pages files are hidden, I can't control them here. And I can only see the name of the app as well. If I want to control these, I need to unhide one. And then as I come down, I can now see my traffic light controls. And if I hide again, and come down, this is what I see. Now I'm going to change the size, I think, to 3 times large. And you can see that's the largest that the previews will appear. Then if I come up to the title format, I don't need to see that application name. I just want to see the window title. And now when I'm in compact mode, I can actually see the title of the windows. If I come over here to Safari, I can also see the window titles all there. And I quite like, if I'm in compact mode, having that large target to hit.